in the Nation of Islam. He has been in the Moorish science for more than 35 years and has held numerous high positions, such as Grand Governor of the Moorish nation. He is the author of one of the most important books written in our day. The book was written for and about the descendants of slaves in this country, to let us know who we really are. The book is the biography of Noble Drew Ali, the exhuming of a nation. Without further ado, I would like everyone to put their hands together and give a very special, warm welcome to a brother that's been in the struggle for our people for many, many years. I present to you Elihu in Pleasant Bay.
Peace, peace. How's everyone? Thank you. I don't know if I can live up to all that you was talking about, but I'm here. Listen, first of all, as customary with our forefathers, we want to always extend praises to the Creator, because this is where we get our guidance from. It is also through our Creator that we receive our powers, through our ancient forefathers. But we also have to know who they were. So I want to thank, first of all, the brothers of the Moorish Science Study Group here in Dayton for inviting me here, as well as those who have participated and purchased my book. I want to thank you also. And for the great people of Dayton and brothers and sisters here, I have received such a warm, I arrived, what, Thursday or Friday, whenever. I've been in such a whirlwind that it's hard to tell what day I got here now, but I've had a ball. And I've received such warm welcome, and the food is good. Thank you. So I want to thank you all for inviting me here. I have a message. The one title that the brother did not say is that I'm an angel. And an angel, the duty of an angel is to deliver messages, the messages of truth. Our people, it has been written and has been stated that our people are suffering due to a lack of knowledge. There's a little difference to that. Our people no longer are suffering due to a lack of knowledge, because knowledge today is bountiful. It's everywhere. There's anyone who can surf the internet can find knowledge about anything, anywhere in the world. Be it good or bad, knowledge is abundant. So knowledge is no longer our problem. Our problem is truth. Our people are suffering due to a lack of truth. My message today is to bring you a level of the truth that has been held back from you. No matter what level you have dwelled upon, no matter what level you may have been trained upon, although you may have thought you was educated, no matter what level you have engrossed upon or how far you have traveled, there has been a gross secret that has been kept back from you. And this is the reason why the epitome of this secret means that this is cause of our people suffering today. And I know that some of you may have asked the question, how in the world could one group of people earn $800 billion a year and yet don't own a thing? It would cause you to think, wouldn't it? Come on now, right?
That's right.
All right, bear with me. Remember, we are one, okay? The only difference between you and me is that I'm standing here and you sitting there. but we all about the same, because there's nothing that we don't know. We just want to have to acknowledge it. Okay? Whatever the Creator is, this great God, that some people say Jehovah, some people say Allah, it doesn't matter. Some people say Jah. It doesn't matter. We're talking about the one universal Creator that we were made in the image and likeness of. Okay? We're talking about one that has the power to create. So do I. We're talking about the one that has the power to govern. So do I. One that has the power to save and to destroy. So do I. So this must mean that I must have came from a pretty good source, huh? What you think? All right? But you don't want to acknowledge me as being a God. What's wrong with that? You don't want to acknowledge the fact that I'm perfect. What's wrong with that? And where did you get the idea from that you can't say that I'm God? Who told you you couldn't be perfect? That you were not perfect? Well, I can tell you who told you. The same person that told you that you was black also told you that you wasn't God. The same person that told you that you was a Negro was the same person that told you that you weren't perfect. The same person that convinced you to convince yourself that you was an African American and that was all right was the same person that said you were powerless. Okay? Now I want to take you on a little journey. We understand that history is not an exact science. However, without this history, you're going to find that you can't go very far unless you know where you come from, correct? Right? Okay. Why do you think it is that you've got, and I say 60 million black people right here in the United States and they can't go anywhere? You ever wondered about that? Well, all you have to do is look at the history of black people. How old is black people? Now really. You're talking to me now. I'm your brother. How old is black history? How far back do it go? I said what now? Crescent moon and stars? Older than the moon and stars? Yeah, I've heard that too. Okay? Let me put it to you this way. Want to take a little journey. Travel with me. They understand that the most powerful thing that we have is thought. Okay? Nothing is faster. Nothing is more powerful. All right? And the truth of the matter is, in order for us not to be what we're supposed to be, somebody had to stop us from thinking. Okay? During the time of slavery, let's just go back there, maybe what, 400, 500 years, give or take a year. Okay? And during the time when our Arab brothers were selling us into slavery, and I don't want anyone to get offended and start hollering about Allah Akbar on me, okay, to quit. Okay, because I know a little bit about that you may not know. I said during the time our Arab brothers who looked just like us was selling us into slavery. The strange thing about it, they did not capture or bring forth any Negroes out of Africa. There was no black people put upon the ships and brought into the slave-breaking islands in the Atlantic and to the United States, what they later to be the United States. There were no colored people placed upon these shackles and things and brought over here, okay? They were African nationals from different countries and kingdoms and families and tribes that had long histories under their tribal names, of the descendant names of their forefathers. Some may be from Ghana, the jurisdiction of Tubu. It could have been Morocco. It could have been any of the northwest and southwestern shores. These countries that was there, they were citizens of these countries, but we don't want to think it along these lines. Why not? Because they were not black. We have been told or taught that for us to relate to our forefathers, we had to relate upon the black idea. And so someone told us, as I was coming up, I'm what, 62, 63, give or take a year. I was told, well, it's in the Bible. But when I was coming, they didn't have no Black Heritage Bibles at that time. Okay? So when it had to go by who begat who, we couldn't find no black people and no Negroes in the Bible. So I was lost at that length too. Well, what happened? Upon investigation, we find out that these black people was what was called the slaves. The slaves were given the name black after they was made into slaves. Like if you have a dog, as long as that dog is in your yard, on your chain, eating your food, you can call it what you want to call it. Butch, Spot, Fido, it'll make any difference. Okay? Now bear with me, don't start throwing in kufu at me right now. Okay, hold on a second. When it comes down to the slave, those who were made into slaves, you must remember, we were known as gods of the Nile at one time. Okay? When we were made into slaves at this point, then those who made us into slaves had the right and exercised that right to name that property what they will. So they named the property Negro, Black, Colored, and a host of other names that we know most of them. Okay? Now, how many of you have ever heard that John Smith, the Christian name, was a slave name? The name that you have is Murray Jones was a slave name. Anybody ever heard that? Okay. Murray Jones and Mr. John Smith, they were not slaves. They were free people. They were even slave owners. Show you how free they were. That was not what slaves were called. Slaves were called black people. They were called Negroes. They were called colored people. Now, just to prove to you what I'm talking about, and I don't want anybody to get offended because my job as an angel is to tell you the truth. It doesn't matter to me whether you accept it or you grow with it or not. That's not relevant. Okay? My job is like being like rain. In rain, it carries potencies of light. The rain's decision is not to fall just on the forest alone. Some rain has to fall on the desert. Okay? When the rain falls on the forest, it produces herbs and trees and shrubberies, okay, food. It falls on the desert suck up the rain and don't produce anything. But the fault is not in the rain. You with me? Okay? All right? My job is to give you the truth. Now, whether that truth, you're able to grow with it or not, that's not on me. I've got a job to do. Okay? So let's go back away. How many of you are familiar with the 3/5 clause? In the Constitution of the United States. Okay, I'm not going to ask any Masons to raise their hand, but that was put there by Masons. I'm talking about the original Freemasons. I'm not talking about the African Masons. There's a difference. Okay, African Masons were better known as masterminds. Their job was to teach themselves how to become godlike and how to reach perfection by using the tools in the workshop of the mind, how to perfect themselves in their character, how to be very godlike. In fact, the word God means ruler of the land. Okay? But when the Europeans stole it, as they stole everything else out of Africa, they stole everything that they could see. So they stole the tools that they could see. But they could not see the spirit. They could not see the truth. They could not see the peace. They could not even see justice. So those things they could not see, they couldn't steal. So when the Masons, like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and all the whole kit and caboodle, as some people call the Founding Fathers, when they wrote the Constitution of the United States, they wrote within that Constitution their property, everything that belonged to them. Why? Because they owned the country. They had fought a war against their motherland and won. It declared their independence as a sovereign power. The United States was a government now. It's not a government any longer. Right now it's a corporation. I'll explain that to you a little later if you ask me or remind me. Okay? But when they wrote the Constitution of the United States, they wrote the 3/5 clause. Now, it don't take a absolute mathematician to realize that it takes 5/5 to make a whole. So what you gonna talk about when you say 3/5? Who's 3/5 of all other persons, except the Indians not taxed? Who you talking about? All right. Well, look at the components. Let's say 1/5 is spirit. That's the God part about you that can't be destroyed, can't die. Okay. All right. You with me? The other part is the soul. That's your ability to think, reason, willing, understanding, this kind of thing. All right. People call it soul. Some people call it other things, the mind, whatever. Okay. Either way, the next part is the body. Well, we know flesh and bones can't think or reason. So that sort of leaves the spirit as an entity and the soul as an entity that can think, whereas the body is another entity that can't think. But those are just 3/5. The other two was nationality and divine creed. Okay? Your nationality was that which connected you to the human family. Okay? As a nation of people. Negroes and black people are not connected to the human family. You have been debased away from the human family and named such because of the 3/5 clause. Okay? Now you don't have to accept this, but I dare you to check it out. All right? And I'm going to tell you the words to use. Look up the word person as used in any law dictionary. Okay? Any law dictionary. Don't get so caught up, especially you etymologists that may be here. Don't get so caught up into this English language that you get so dull as, you don't know what you're talking about, you know. I know the English language very well. I can speak. It means nothing. It's the only bastard language on the planet. What are you jumping up and down for? Okay? Everybody has some of this. Look at any collegiate dictionary and tell me where did that word come from? And that word come from? The origin of this word. Okay? So be careful about how you brag about it. Look in the law dictionary though, okay? And look up the word person as used in the 3/5 clause, or if you will, the 14th Amendment as was related. The word person, I will tell you the definition, it means civis mortuus. Civis mortuus. In other words, dead in the eyes of the law. The 3/5 clause simply means property, commercial property. So when you now read the 3/5 clause into the 14th Amendment, it says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to its jurisdiction are now citizens. Let me slow that back, rewind it, and let me see how that really sounds. Okay? All property, all commercial property, because that's what black was created to be, property, income producing, $800 million worth of property. Producing some kind of income for some citizen somewhere. You with me? Be careful how you lay back in your Escalade. All right? I hope you don't have any tomatoes out there. I don't know, don't throw it at me right yet. Just hold on. All right? We're talking about the 3/5 clause and what happened to us to make us think that we were black. Okay? It began with the Constitution of the United States, the 3/5 clause. In the Constitution itself, we're not even talking about an amendment. The First Amendment hadn't even been written yet. But the very first article of the United States Constitution got you in it as property. But don't feel bad. It had Indians and women in there too. In other words, as the Mason called them, those who are part of the profane world. Okay? The only citizens in the United States at that time of the writing of the Constitution was European male age 21. Did that sound familiar? Age 21, you got to be... They still got it today. You got to be 21 years old before you be a man or something. Okay? But you know how much water that hold, right? Okay? Whatever happened to the rites of passage? Jesus was teaching the multitude at the age of 12. Whatever happened to that? When sisters was having babies at 12 or 13 years of age, whatever happened to that? So why you got to now wait till you're 21? Somebody played the game, didn't they? Okay? Bear with me. The 3/5 clause. All persons born. But we're here to celebrate Juneteenth. A day in which it was discovered 2.5 years later that slavery had been ended. Bear in mind, I'm an angel. Okay? The people that enslave you do not have the power to free you. Okay? Remember, you are God. Now, can someone that enslaved your babies and make them think otherwise, that they were less than a God, can they also have the power now to make a God out of your babies? Can they? Why? Because a bear can't teach a fox how to be a bear. Bear ain't never been a fox. Right? Right? So how in the world is a European going to teach you how to be God? Is it not in his best interest that you know otherwise? Okay? You still with me? I don't see no tomatoes yet. Okay? Okay? All right? Now, 1865 Juneteenth. Well, let me go back to 1861. There was another United States government in existence. It was called the Southern Confederate United States, headquartered in Richmond, Virginia. They too had a constitution. And would you believe it or not, do you know in 1861, they had abolished the African slave trade before the United States did it in 1865. Okay? Yes, the Confederates, you know, the boys, the good old boys, they actually abolished the African slave trade, not slavery, the African slave trade in their constitution in Richmond, Virginia in 1861. Okay? But there was a war going on. You must remember the president at the time, Lincoln, 1863, was at war. Okay? And he said his job as the executive ruler in command of the military, the executive chief, okay, his job was to do what? Win the war. Okay? So his strategy was, how can I win this war, brother fighting against brother, about land, slaves that had to be on it? Okay? Because they were more concerned about the land that was west of the Mississippi than anything else. Okay? But nevertheless, they say, now how can I get my brother, how can I conquer him and win this war? Okay, he's an enemy. Let's remove the power from the enemy. And what's the greatest power that his southern brother had? The slave, right. So what he did, he abolished slavery in the South. In some of the southern states that was rebellious. Read the Emancipation Proclamation again. Look at the word person and again, and you find out they really wasn't talking about freeing the slaves at all. They were talking about those who own property in the South, the rebellious state, and how to get rid of it. Read it again, now that you know the meaning of the word person. Okay? But then again, that was 1863. Okay? And a lot of people say, oh my goodness, they abolished slavery. You know, he wrote the Emancipation Proclamation, freed all the slaves. And we believed that for years, right? That the Emancipation Proclamation ain't freed Jack. Well, Jack, he was all right, but he ain't freed nobody. Okay? Ain't freed nobody. It takes an act of Congress when it comes to dealing with the dissolution of a people. Okay? It takes an act of Congress, according to the way the United States government is set up. So therefore, in 1860, had the Emancipation Proclamation been truthfully effective, why would the 13th Amendment ever need to be written then in 1865? Right? Whose signature is at the bottom? And this is very important, brothers and sisters, because why? You're going to find that your very birth certificate is a blank check signed by Congress to free you. Don't throw no tomatoes at me yet. Okay? In 1865, when Congress wrote the 13th Amendment that officially abolished slavery, except for those who were duly convicted of a crime. Now, if you tell the average inmate that he's a slave, he might want to fight you, right? But then again, the average inmate was not duly convicted, was he? Okay? Let me tell you how the law works, because you must remember, it's impossible to deal with truth without dealing with law. Okay? The word law simply means land, air, and water. He who governs these, hey. All right? Does this sound familiar? Have you ever noticed that all the law enforcement agencies wear a star of some sort as a badge because it represents the law? One who is able to govern land, air, and water? Right? Why y'all trying to make me like I don't know? You don't. All right. Remember, I already told you you know everything. Okay? You with me? Okay. Here comes John Law for real. 1865, going to abolish slavery, right? Except for those duly convicted of a crime. However, let me see now. If you abolish slavery, which is the very first article of the 13th Amendment, it was only 2 pages. Originally, it was 18 sections to that, by the way. Please check that out. Because the other one had to do with your naturalization and your ability to colonize yourself. Okay? It's very good to find out about those other 2 that were not ratified into law. The 18th Amendment, 18 articles, 18 sections. All right? But let's deal with the 2 that went past, okay? The first one said that slavery was abolished. When you abolish the thing according to law, then it means you get rid of it in its entirety, no matter what it is. Okay? That means the institution of slavery, gone. The slave master, gone. The slaves, gone. And here's the catch. The slave names. What are the slave names? Negro, black, colored, gone. Think about it. Gone. 1865. But we was hit in the head at high noon so hard that 3 years later, before we could gain consciousness, they wrote the 14th Amendment and re-enslaved you again. You think Juneteenth is bad. Wait till I tell you what happened with the 4th. Okay? All right? You've been a nation of people for 140 years. And nobody told you till today. Ain't you pissed? You ain't pissed? Maybe you want to celebrate. No? I said you have been a nation of people for 140 years, and nobody told you until today. You don't know what to do. I wouldn't either. But because the thoughts that went through my mind when I first heard about it, well, there's children here now, so you can imagine. All right? I'm an ex-Negro, so you can really imagine. All right? You have been a nation. Now, what does that mean to be a nation of people? Okay? What does that mean to be a nation? You heard the word nation, but you have never applied it to us. Why? Because black people can't be it. Negroes can't be it. You've never heard of a black nation of people. I got a book that I've written, and within the book I've got a little section called Out of the Pot. Okay? It's a little game that we play. And the way the game works, it's going to take maybe about 5 minutes. And I would like to show you how this game works. Can you bear with me for a minute? All right? Because you can take this game with you back to your temples and lodges and wherever you want to go, your family for that matter, okay? And it'll work every time, okay? Now, what I want to do, I'm going to ask for 4 or 5 volunteers. You don't have to come up here or nothing. I'm just going to show you. Normally you would, but I'm going to show you how to do it otherwise. I want me someone to act as a Chinese and just stand up wherever you are, any person, just sitting. No, I want someone that's sitting. Okay. Okay. We got a Chinese over here. I want that, I know you may not like this, but I want a German. I know you may not, you ain't got to be all that. You know, we are good actors now. We can act like cowboys, we can act like anything. Oh, okay, we got a German there. Okay. I need me a good strong black man. Wait a minute, there you go again, all up in there. Come on here, give me a black man. Y'all, look, you know, somebody. Well, let a sister stand up there. It don't make no difference if somebody's scared. You got a black man? Got a black man. Okay. Give me one Negro. Just one. Any volunteer Negro. Come on. All right. Got a Negro right here. All right. Now, just for the flavor of it, I want one Japanese. Just one. One Japanese. Okay, got a Japanese, right? It sounds right. Okay, now, those of you, we got a Chinese, we got a German, we got a Japanese, we got a black person, we got a Negro, right? Okay. This is how the game works. The game is called Out of the Pot, because the United States is known as the cultural melting pot. There's all kinds of nationalities here, right? But there's also the immigration laws, okay? There's constitutional laws that's written that says, look, the Patriot Act is in effect, right? Right? Huh? The Patriot Act, you don't know what I'm talking, see where I'm going with this? Okay, the Constitution gives the government power to enforce and purge and protect itself against illegal aliens. So all of a sudden we're going to enforce the law, and everybody got to get up and get out of here, back where they come from. Everybody, you ready? Okay, the Chinese can only sit down in the land that's named after him. Where's the Chinese at? What's the name of your land? China. It sounds just like his name, Chinese and China. Okay, you have a seat in China. Sit down in China. Okay, you got a seat there. All right, now, I think it was a German. You got a German? Oh, okay, okay. Now, all right, German, you got to have a land that matches your name, that matches the seat that you were sitting in. What's the name of your seat? Germany. Germany. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. Okay. Now, I see you see it coming already, don't you? You see it coming already. I need a Japanese. Where's the Japanese at? Okay. And the land must match the name. Japan. There you go. Have a seat. Okay. Now, we got a Negro and we got a black person. Okay. Now, and thank you. Have a seat. Okay, thank you. Let's sit down. We know you ain't got nowhere to go. No, we know you ain't got nowhere to go. No, you ain't got nowhere. You're just gonna burn up in the bottom of the pot. I thought we were sick, Bob. I'm trying to save some embarrassment here, okay? Look, let me see how this thing works. All right. Now, when the law is enforced, and this is what the Bush administration is talking about, all right? I don't know how many of you keep up with this thing, but did you know that they're trying to, because they have the Republicans are in power at the time, they're trying to amend the 22nd Amendment. Anybody heard about that? The 22nd Amendment is what determines the length of stay of the president. Okay? So now what they're proposing is that under the Bush administration, that rather than having 2 terms or 8 years in office, to make it perpetual. Oh, he becomes emperor. Dictate, whatever. Okay? So, I'm saying, listen, okay, because you must remember that you don't belong to this government. Okay? All right? And for all legal reasons, you are classified as what? An alien. If you don't believe me, look at the reason why the United States explained why it never signed the genocide treaty that's been around for 50 years. The reason why they say they can't sign it because they've got 60 million illegal aliens amongst them. There's no telling what they might do to get. They broke Salty in the 60s. I don't know what they might do next. So now we have the, what's this other thing? After 9/11, Homeland Security, thank you. Okay, under the Homeland Security and lately the Patriot Act, this gives the military the right to practice in urban warfare. Urban? Who lives in urban? Urban? Okay? It's time to wake up. Okay? As I said, my job, and I love my job, okay? I learned the things that I know from NATONHOOD. This is a little known brother that taught everybody. Okay? This was the one that, I heard someone speak about J. Rogers a little earlier. Anybody ever read J. Rogers' Superman to Man? That was about NATONHOOD when he was a porter on the train, known as Dixon, I think it is. Okay? He was before Van Sertima. He was before Brother Henry Clark. Okay? He was before all these, and I could go to Elijah Muhammad, I could go to Daddy Grace, Father Divine, up and down the ladder, Farad Muhammad, everybody. All of them owe their credit to NATONHOOD. Okay, I'm the #1 defender of NATONHOOD. In fact, the name of my book is called The Biography of NATONHOOD. And I wrote it especially because those authors who preceded me, bar none, every last one of them lied about NATONHOOD because they knew what he's talking about. I said, that don't make no, that's not him. Some of them call him a black Muslim. This man is the first one that said he was not Negro, color, black, and stood up against the United States government, proved that we was a government down in Havana, Cuba, at the Panamanian Conference of the Americas in 1928. Okay? Went down there and declared that we was a nation of people, with the Secretary of State representing the United States there also. And no one could deny. Now let me tell you the power of being a nation before I get taken off too far. Okay? You then have the right to govern yourself. How many of you got your own marriage laws? Or how many of you was married by somebody that was whose power was invested by the state? Y'all don't know what that means, do you? Huh? Y'all with me? Okay. How many of you had the right to choose what was on your birth certificate and the birth certificate of your children that was not certified as being Negro, black, and colored? That's what right you have as a nation of people. You write your own certificates of live birth for your own people. You count your own census. Okay? You have your own sovereign power. The reason why, and in my moving around the country, the reason why I found my people are afraid of their own nationality and becoming their own nation of people because they have been pacified too long. They have been fed. Although the lease is gone, the gate is open. It's time now for the law to be enforced. All right? The United States has no jurisdiction over you in your proper person. This is legal term. Let me explain that to you. Okay? The United States own you as an African American. They own your yes as a black person. I don't care if you belong to the Nation of Islam, whether you belong to the church, the Jehovah's Witness, it don't make a dime worth a difference. If those who say, I was here before, it don't matter. The United States put all of us under the 14th Amendment. Okay? And to show you how serious it is, how many of you are familiar with reparations? And the Seminoles that applied 2 years ago for reparations, and they put a chokehold on the reparations because they said there were some black Seminoles amongst us that said, we can't give you a dime until you get rid of them blacks from amongst you. Why? Because the Seminole Nation didn't have no black Seminoles in it. Listen to it. They didn't have any black Seminoles in it. Okay? Why? Because who made the black people? Go back to the 3/5 clause. Who made black people? You want me to tell you again? George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, da-da-da-da-da, and other European Freemasons. Now, all those who say, yeah, I'm pretty hard on Masons, I can't stand Masons. I couldn't have been a Mason because they're liars, every last one of them. Okay? And they can't tell me nothing because they lied to me too. See, I couldn't have been a Mason for one reason. I can't keep nothing. I can't keep no secrets. If you don't want me to know it, don't want me to tell it, don't let me know it. That's why I love my job as being an angel, because I can tell it fearlessly, endlessly. I'll talk till I get white round the mouth. Y'all may not understand that either. It's okay. All right? The thing about it is that you are in the condition that you are in not by mistake, okay, but because this was designed the way it is. All right? This was done purposely. Black people didn't pop up. They were made. How many of you ever read my article called The Negro and the Sardine? It's in this little thing I've been passing out all day. Please pick up a copy. It's about number 3 page back there. So it's on the internet too, www.7sealspublications.com. Okay, called The Negro and the Sardine. It shows you exactly how black people were made. Okay? So if you have any question as to the origin of it, now you may say, well, how important is it? I'll tell you how important it is. You have to give yourself an origin, a history. How can you trace your forefathers and your ancestors and how important they are to you, and you looking for them in the wrong places? How can you make a connection with your ancestors and you looking for your black ancestors? They ain't there. They're not there. The spirit of them that's running through your veins right now is not black ancestry. Okay? You look for them in their own proper person. Okay? It take a Chinese to make another Chinese. Who made black people? Think about it. How far can you go? How many of you remember when Black History Month used to be Negro History Week? Oh, and I'm the only old person out here.
Only one that exists.
Dog. How many do you in school used to salute the flag? You know, y'all remember that? I ain't too old in that one. Okay, well, Drew Ali taught them to put it like this. Okay, because this was an old Islamic one that come out of Africa where we greet each other, understand, with the 5 principles over our heart that showed our true intent. That was known as the honor system. That's how we greeted each other. Okay? Drew Ali introduced that back in the 1920s. It took the United States to the 1950s before they took it from here and put it here. Again, you've got to learn about Noble Drew Ali. I wrote a good book about it. I love my book. It's the only, don't ask me to write another one because it ain't in me. Okay? The biography is 530 pages of law and history. Nothing but pure truth. And you can get it here at the local brothers will be having it. The Moorish American Study Group, they got it. Okay? You want it, you don't have to, you can get it off on the internet too, or call me, you can get it. But it's faster right here because it's right here in Dayton. Okay? All right? And those of you who are here today, if you mention the fact that you was here at this celebration today, I'll be sure you get it at a great discount. Okay? Our author's discount, we'll call it. And you can tell us what Brother Bay said, I get off to this. Tell them. Okay? Because, and I will say this because I'm not on any television thing now, so I can tell you. The book retails, it's the 2-book set, it retails for $100. Okay? But it's only that way because of the cost of the printing, because of the return, and I'm by myself. That's my family, my greatest supporters. As soon as I'm able to afford the publication company, the printing equipment, bring the cost down to the bare minimum, then you're going to get it. I want it to be just like the Gideon You know how to get in there? Every hotel you go into, there's one laid up on the shelf. That's where I want to see it. Okay? Because it's written as a study guide. It's designed to go to all the major colleges, the universities, and wherever I can put on a seminar, wherever you want to hear me, it doesn't matter. I want the book there. Every household, every family should have at least 2. Okay? Because you're able to teach the lessons to your little ones. The missing 18 years of Jesus' life that's not in the Bible are in there. Okay? Everything about yourself and in your proper status, your free national being, is in there. It shows you how to get, just like Adam and Eve. That's a chapter in there too about them. Okay? Did you know Adam? Did you know Adam and Eve? They're terrible. They were. They were. The reason why they were called Adam and Eve because they were human. That's when the fall began. Okay? Before that, they were known as Is and Isha. That's when they were gods. Okay? So, Adam, a damn, anytime you put a damn in something that's adamant, it's bad, ain't it? And anytime you think about humans, you know, it ain't nothing good about being human. You think about it. Okay? Every time you do something, you ain't got no business what you say. I was only human. Come with all kinds of excuses. Usually human, I'm just human, like, you know. You use a couple of your mistakes. Okay, rather than me that, well, I'm a God, the mistakes are not a part of me, and keep on stepping. Okay? And Eve, he named his wife Eve. Now, you bear in mind, they already done fell to the Lord in a well. You understand? Okay? Then he named it, if he was to call her Eve today, she'd be a B word. I don't like that word, so I'm not going to say it. I got something in my chapter about that too. Okay? So Adam and Eve is not a good thing. Neither is being human. But I got a chapter in the book that shows you exactly what they did, because Adam became the first prophet. Okay? And it shows you exactly how they got back to their God state. But you can't learn these lessons if you wait for your oppressor to give it to you. So don't look in the Bible. It ain't there. My book is better than the Bible. It's greater than the Bible. The Bible's been around for almost 2,000 years. They free jack. Nobody. Especially my people. And those of us who call ourselves in the shrine or the Masonic order or the other sorority, try to be Greeks and things, you ought to be, well, you didn't know no better. Did you know you're not held accountable for what you do in a coma? That's important. That's important. You know, the brother got my case the other day about that, so I ain't got certain thing I ain't gonna say about that coma. But I will tell you this part. All right, you are not held accountable for what you do while you're in the state of a coma. And if you don't know who you are, you're in a state of a coma. It's just that means you walk around thinking you somebody else. Now you might say, no, it ain't like that. But the truth of the matter is, if you're not a master of your own mind, it's because you done lost your mind and somebody else got it. And gone on with it. And left you thinking that you something other than what you are. Because you done lost yours, you ain't even got it no more. That places you in a state of a coma. Walking around unconscious. Okay? Now this is not a downer. What it's doing is placing you in this true perspective where that you can say, wait a minute. This is true. I am right there. Which means that you got to go now from where you are to where you're supposed to be. But you won't get there if you're still thinking you're complacent and you're happy with where you are. How in the world you going to be happy being a black person after I done talked to you? You're going to have a problem after the day. You are. I'm telling you. Why? Because you done heard the truth. And you can run out of here. It's in the nature when the great God created us and gave us a soul. It's in the nature of the soul to seek out the truth, even to the very ends of the universe. You can't even help yourself. Okay? That's why you can't forget nothing. So it don't make no difference if you can say, what was that brother's name with that red thing on his head? It don't matter. It really don't matter. Because you can't forget. The great God, when he made you, he didn't give you a delete system. You can't even forget nothing. I love it. You're held accountable for everything I say. Wonderful. Wonderful. No delete. You know, those of you who's in computer, not like me, I'm computer stupid, but you know what I'm talking about. Everything is on your hard drive, ain't it? Right? You can rewind it, you can play it back, but you can't forget it. Man cannot forget. It's impossible to forget. That's a good thing about us. Being a God, you don't have no need for forgetfulness. Okay, that's a weakness. Whenever people say they forget, you know what that means? They have a lack of interest in it. They place it so far back. They think they forgot. They ain't forgot jack. They just ain't interested. Now be careful how you tell it to your spouse, okay? Anyway, getting back to that 3/5 clause, Noble Ali brought all the great teachings that it took us to redeem ourselves as a nation of people, okay? Those who may have gotten caught up into like the Moorish Science Temple and other organizations, things that he may have created and things, or splitter groups and things, please, stick with the truth, okay? You know the truth because it not just sounds right. You say, I gotta have some more of that stuff. That's what truth do to you, okay? It ain't like having no church up in here jumping up and down. It makes you want to go and research and find out why. Because the one thing about being the God, we don't like that question why. It's not in our nature, okay? And you have to watch, speaking about nature, watch out for the nature of the mind. Because it is in the nature of the mind to accept and become what it thinks. That's how come Willie Lynch theory was so successful. He got you to thinking that you was what he said you were. And since he didn't know who you were, you figured that, hey, that's all it is to it. Drew Ali called that mental slavery. Okay? So what I want you to do, I want you to make it your business. Brothers, sisters, gods, and goddesses, I want you to make it your business to seek out the truth. Later for the knowledge, find yourself some truth. Challenge anybody, any book, any author, any teacher, lecturer, it makes no difference. Okay? Challenge them. So wait a minute. Compare what they just said with what you already know and see, is it the truth? The way that you can tell it the truth, it's in the nature of the truth not to change. The truth is immutable. It never changes. Okay? That's why Chinese yesterday is the Chinese today. You are today what your forefathers were yesterday. And the reason why you are powerless today because your forefathers and you are not together. You think you're something other than what the forefathers were. Somebody told your dad, your granddaddy, your forefathers were black and Negro and all like that. That's the reason why you're powerless. Because you're still thinking that your forefathers were black. Oh, Moses, he was a black man. Some people gave the biblical characters biblical. Okay, come on now. Do you know the Greeks wrote the Bible? How many of y'all know that? Why y'all look at me like I'm the only, like I just fell off the back of a boat or something? The Greeks wrote the Bible. It was called a Septuagint. It was, they didn't like you when they wrote that. You got two levels of Greek language. You got the classical Greek and Koine Greek. Okay? The Koine Greek is the rock gut Greek. That's what you speak on the street when you want to tell, hey, hobo, you know. All right? They wrote the Bible in Koine Greek. And you must remember, the Greeks and the Romans was ruling Palestine during the time of Jesus. And the other Jews were there. They didn't like Jews. They didn't like you either. So what makes you think that the ruling class is going to write something favorable about you? Why are you going to let the criminal describe the crime? Come on, Mo. You understand what I'm saying? Huh? And you want to get hung up into these books and things, and you wonder why you can't get nowhere. You're reading the wrong literature. You want to change the people, you got to change the literature. Okay? Let somebody go give you something that's about truth. You ought to be full up to here with falsehood by now. Okay? You familiar with the tsunami? It's a new word to me. But guess what? That's what truth is. Truth is like a tsunami. And war, when it hit this country here, okay? And let me tell you how bad it is. The whole thing is based upon a lie. Okay? Like the Freemasonry, the whole world of Freemasonry is based upon a murder. A murder. Who died? Who got it? It was a murder, Herman Biff. The African God man. The only secret that's in the Masonic order is your true identity. That's the only secret they got. It's only 3 degrees, okay? And we're it. I'm here to tell you the truth. Okay? Now you can take it in whole or in part. It don't make no difference. All right? But you got a job to do after today. Okay? Go get yourself some more of this good stuff. It's good. And it don't cost nothing. All right? And the reason why our people don't like freedom because they ain't used to it. They've been in jail so long, and we're all doing time, that we think it's natural. All right? Falsehood is not natural. Lies is not natural. These illusions, getting caught up in time, is not natural. Okay? Time is nothing but an illusion. Why you get caught up in that? Okay? Let another man lock you up in his country under his lies, and you like it. No, I'm not going to go there. I know what we're going to talk about that coma state again, okay? But you have to realize that being in a coma, all right, when I say you're not held responsible, all right, let me tell you how that really works on the plane of law. If they declared all NBC, Negro, Black, and Colored, outlawed in 1865 with the writing of the 13th Amendment. You with me? Remember, we abolished that, okay? You ready? Come on, boys, join in with me now, okay? You with me? Okay, 1865, no more Negro, Colored, and Black. Outlawed, gone, okay? That's what the 13th Amendment said. Congress signed it, okay? Now, except for those who are duly convicted by a crime. And y'all can tell the brothers in the prison, and we all know a bunch of them, so hey. But let me tell you what really happened. What do you think they would do when they find out? It doesn't matter about what crime they committed. That takes secondary or no dairy at all when it comes to 2 main pillars of the law. Do you know that in any court of law, you need 2 things to happen to take place before you can have any legal proceeding? One is status, and the other is jurisdiction. Your status is your proper person. You must identify that person in a true person, whoever that is. There must be the truth about them, whoever they are, whatever they are. Okay? The truth, they must identify it properly. But remember, they can't be Negro, Colored, Black. Why? Because 1865 they were. All right, they're gone now, right? But let me look at these arrest records. John Doe, 6'3", black man. These are arrest papers. The arrest papers are then taken to court. He might have made bail, who knows? Okay? Bear with me. All right? The jurisdiction, the word jurisdiction also is the second pillar. The jurisdiction is the power that the court has to pry into the fact, to investigate and make a proper decision. That's jurisdiction. He who is able to govern this kind of law has jurisdiction. You with me now? Okay. That means that you cannot, if you want to file for a divorce, you can't do that in a traffic court. Because why? The traffic court don't have jurisdiction over divorce proceedings. You with me? Okay? Now, here goes John Doe, 6'5", black man, whatever they said he did. Okay? Take him to court. John Doe, it don't make no difference, you're guilty anyway. And sentence him, convict him, whatever, send him to jail, whatever, right? He was not duly convicted upon you. Okay? Look at the birth certificate. Those of you who got Negro, colored, and black, or born anywhere within the United States, it's on there, even if it's at the Bureau of Statistics of that special state. But it was empowered by Congress. All right? And the law that's in violation here is called, and you write this down, brothers and sisters, it's called denationalization. Okay? Denationalization is a crime. It ranks real high up there with international wrongdoings like genocide and treason. You got denationalization. No man, no human should ever be denationalized. Okay? What does it mean to denationalize something? That means to take away its true identity. That's when you denationalize something. You take away its true identity, its proper status. What is your proper status? Okay? Now we want to leave that train and go into the next highest level. Being a nation of people, it affords you to have your own clothing. Okay? I love to dress like myself. I enjoy it. Why? Because it's natural. My clothes will never go out of style. Why? Because it ain't fashionable. Okay? They'll never go out of style. I can put this on 50 years from now. It'll be the same thing. And guess what? My headdress too. I put it on 50,000 years from now. It'll be the, and go anywhere I want to go. I don't have to take it off in nobody's court, nobody's church, nowhere I go. I ain't got to take it off. And I don't have my tosser tied down. That's this little thing right there. That means I'll whoop. It's a can full of whoop. It's all right. Okay? We have our own line of custom, our own line of clothing that we can wear. All right? The only reason why we don't reintroduce it to the world right now, because we don't want some fool to run here and make some fad out of it. Okay? You have your own flag, by the way. Beautiful. The flag is over 100,000 years old. You had a flag back in Lemuria, Atlantis, and everything. Your own seal. Yes, we were there. Before the Europeans came, before we created them. Okay? You should have the whole record of the entire human family. And you do. Okay? There's nowhere in the universe that you can't travel. And you don't need this God to get there. Okay? And you must learn also how to travel again. You got to learn how to travel like a God. It's the way you go. I'm traveling. Somebody asked me that. See me with my affairs on. You traveling, man? Leave me alone. Do I look like I'm traveling? I'm a God. What I look like going to the east? I got to face the east to the Gabar to look for my God? Please. It don't work like that. Let me tell you why they enslaved you. Speaking of that. Your Arab brothers enslaved you because you accepted Islam, but you would not accept the Arabian version of Islam. The original Islam, what they call Sufi, which is foolishness, okay, or the ancient Egyptian mystery system, taught you how to go within. You go inward, okay, where there's boundlessness. There is no north, east, south, or west, where you go into yourself and become God again. Come on now. Why do you have to face a rock to find God? Where's the nearest place you can find God? Look within. His name is self. It's just that simple. Okay? Same thing with the devil, though. Well, you never know no turtles to make no H-bombs, did you? Okay? I ain't seen a bird pull a trigger yet. So if you're going to find your devil, you must look where? What's his name? Self. Okay? This is the power that a God has. Acknowledge it. Accept it. And be it. And you won't like being ugly. You won't like hatred. Because hatred is not a part of you. Hatred is a very ugly foe. Very, very ugly. It's just about as bad as lies and falsehood. Okay? So, I do have a little bit more time left, but I want to use that and answer any questions since I don't live here in Dayton and I can book up and get out of here when I get ready. So, well, that's not the only reason. But I will entertain any questions that you may have for the next 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll be out of here. Oh, my name is people, if you don't know how to say Pleasant Bay, just say Brother Bay. Although there's a ton of us around, but Brother Bay will do.
Tell them a little bit more about becoming a free man.
Becoming a Moor, freelancer Moor, being yourself. This is being yourself is not as easy as it seems, because you have to be educated. Okay, in other words, you can't be that because I say that's what you are. You don't want to be that. All right, study, research, learn. All right, where that one truth will never ever contradict another truth. That way you can stand on what it is that you are. Okay, you need to get a book. You need to get with somebody that has gone through the ups and downs and know and love you enough that is not going to lie to you and won't charge you. If somebody wants to charge you for being you, run quickly away from them. Okay, they're sheep fleecers. Okay, the truth is free all over this world. Okay. So when it comes down to finding out about who you are, you've got to learn. Why? Because it took you time to learn how not to be you. How in the world you think you're going to learn how to be you unless you learn? You've got to study. You have to study. This is why we were not able to be ourselves 140 years ago. We was, what, 96% illiterate. Okay? We didn't know how to study. We couldn't even read and write. All right, we was in place in a dark age, but not today. Okay? So that's the one thing that you're going to have to do. The next thing is once you learn how to study, study going to automatically bring about itself things like research, verification, okay, and stability. Within these things, you're going to find freedom. Nothing is free, including you, until it is of itself. Pure, clean, unmixed, unamalgamated, the whole nine. That's when something is free. When it is by itself, independent, unmixed, you with me? Then it's free. When it is pure of itself. You are a clean and pure nation of people. You don't owe anybody anything. You have not declared war against no other government. You don't owe anybody anything. And when it comes to reparations, black people, now can you understand why black people, how many read my little article, this one here? Okay? That's why black people will never get reparations. They're not a people. They're not a nation of people. They're not a government. They're not a tribe. They're nothing but property. Okay, they were made into property. And I'm not saying this in a derogatory sense to say I don't love you and we don't love each other. Quite the contrary. I'm letting you know the status of where you have been placed as a people and what you have to get away from. The more that you declare yourself what he has already made you into being would mean that the longer you're going to be in that degraded state. If you want to know why we have not been able to climb out of this crab in the basket situation, because we are enjoying what others, because we don't know any better. Okay? You've got to study. You've got to learn. All right? You have a Moorish study group that's already begun here. This is new. It's another phenomenon that's taking place in the country. We got maybe about 10 or 12 states that has more study groups. And one is here I was in Cleveland, but they didn't start a more study group. This was in February. Instead, the more study group started here in Dayton. Take advantage of it. Find out these brothers' phone numbers and address where they get, and start doing more study groups. I'll help you supply the literature and everything. Whatever it takes, I'll come back as often as it takes. It doesn't matter. Okay? I'm not going to move to Dayton, though. That's out. You don't have enough salt water here for me. I got to get where I can see some salt water and sky. I'm headed back east. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to assist you with your study group. There should be study groups everywhere you can find a church. Okay? There should be a more study. Start it in your home with your own family. Find out about who you are. Find out what it takes to be that. And be your own proper person. When you go to a court of law, trust me, all right? In no court of law could they have jurisdiction over you in your own proper person. And you can find what it's called. You can write this down, brothers and sisters. An affirmative jurisdiction. Those who know law, it's spelled A-V-E-R-M-M-E-N-T. Affirmative jurisdiction. All it means is to bring the court to its knees. Stop court. Okay? Why did you stop the court? Because I want you to identify that you got jurisdiction over me. I'm a Moorish American. What you got me down as? Okay? And it must be proven in writing by the prosecution. Okay? Averment. A-V-R-N-M-E-N-T. Affirmative jurisdiction. Okay? This is what you declare, first and foremost, as soon as some legal proceeding has been faced against you, or whatever the case may be. Whatever reason you got to do in the court of law. It stops the court, it brings it to its knees, and it must answer you in writing according to the law, instantly. Okay? And it has no jurisdiction over you in your proper status. But, remember now, under the 14th Amendment, it owns and has jurisdiction over all NBC. That's by design. Next question.
Could you explain band a little bit more? And this is a double question. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship associate each other.
Oh, okay. Let me take the latter part first. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the United States and Morocco was the first and oldest treaty to ever be written and agreed upon with the new United States. Okay. The Sultan of Morocco is the one who supplied gold to the then General George Washington, enabling him to be able to fight and win the war, the Revolutionary War against Britain. Okay? And George Washington, that's where I learned the word magnanimous from. George Washington wrote in his letter thanking the Sultan of Morocco for his magnanimous contribution of gold so that he was able to pay the troops and win the war. Subsequently, as a result of that, Morocco and George Washington, the then President George Washington, and the Sultan of Morocco wrote the very first treaty of peace and friendship between Morocco and the United States. This country's very first treaty was written with Morocco, okay, so that Morocco could then protect its own citizens, okay, that was here in the United States. But they were Moors. They were Moorish, okay? Now, and I'll tell you the other part of that question. The other catch about that treaty is that at no time did the treaty apply to or was coming forth with or meant anything to do with America's slaves. Okay? It had nothing to do, although we were descendants of Moroccans. Okay? You must remember, we were property of the United States. All NBC were property of the United States. So the treaty had no bearing, then or now. The reason why, because once you are the property of another government, that's like coming into my house, want to take my towel or my refrigerator or tell it, that's mine. You can't come in here and do it. Now, me and you as neighbors, we can talk all day and help each other out. And our citizen things, you know. And you come on over and watch my TV. I don't mind. But you are not going to come in here and pull the plug on my television and do what you want to do with it. Okay? So I'm giving you the concept, the difference between property, okay, and citizen. We were never citizens of the United States. Never. You cannot read the Dred Scott decision. How many is familiar with that? Okay? You cannot make Negroes into citizens. There's no difference between a free Negro and a Negro slave. They're both Negroes. You know, to give all honor to Harriet Tubman and others who, you know, helped to free and free. You got Negroes in the North that was free. You got Negro Masons that was free. And trust me, brothers and sisters, that's a lie. If you a Negro, you ain't free, period. I don't care what you call yourself. You're property. Okay? Black, you're still property. Colored, you're still property. This is what they call their property. Okay? So if you're over here and they say, well, you free property. And over here, you ain't free property. Ain't it still property? So now you want to put a name on it. You want to say, well, this is a free black man. Think about it. Is there or can there ever be such a thing as a free black man? Can it? If you're talking about, we're talking about law now, okay? We're not talking about how you feel. Well, you know, and you know, my mama, she was a good. Come on now, all right? Keep your feelings up out of this thing. We're talking about law, okay? Remember, I'm an angel, and me and feelings don't get along at all. I'll crush all of them to get in my way, all right? So what I'm saying is, when it comes down to Negro, colored, and black, understand that they're names for property, okay? Now the other question was what? Oh yeah. The Fed's headdress, it represents the free national origin and government of a thinking people. Okay, this is known, they call it the figure number 1. Because it is the most renowned of all the headdresses in the world. The Fed is the most renowned. And we originated this back in the ancient days of Lemuria. Okay? This is when we was known as, what they call us, called wizards. Wizards later turned out to be a wise man. Go figure. Okay? But that's all it basically means. Here is one who is a god. That's all it really basically boils down to. Okay? The tassel simply means it's able to swing because the God is unlimited, so is the tassel. If you notice, those who call themselves Masons or Eastern Stars and other little trick names like that, their tassel must be tied down. The reason why, because they're not allowed to think for themselves. Because if they're allowed to do that, they might look up and find out they're really God. And they might look up and find out who they really are and become free. And we can't have that. Okay? Yes? No, you're quite right. Quite right. In other words, the brother let you know that the link between, the bond between God and law is divinity, infinite. Okay? That's what you are. Next question. They stole them from there too, but by law, no. Because once they reached across the Canadian border, then there was a treaty or a bond between the Canadian government and the States government about those slaves. Then no, they violated. But that was not unusual because they used to come to the north and take people that were so-called free Negroes or free black and run them for the borders, the Mason Dixon, and enslave them again. So that was not new. Okay, that was not. The thing about it is that no matter where our people go, you carry with you the stick of Negro, black, and colored. If you're France, and you go to France as a black man, and that's what you want. You don't want to be French. You don't want to change the nationality. You know, that's you're taking it with you. Yeah. Next question. Come on now, I ain't scared. Well, it's what? Amexium? Oh, true and fine name of Africa? Oh, Amexium. That what you're talking about? Well, some people call it the Kubala. Some people call it, well, Africa is not the true name of the continent because that was named after a Roman general. All right. But come down to the ancient true name, which was Amexium. This was the name that what we call the United States and the America and Africa was all one. It was all one landmass. Look at any globe, you can see it all fit together anyway. But it was this right here was west of Mexium. Okay? And the word Mexium itself means land of the gods. Go figure that one out. All right? It was later handed down to, I think they used the term Kubalan, the other names for Africa, the continent of Africa itself. But Mexium was incorporated all the land mass. Is that what you're talking about? Okay. All right. Question. Yes, sir.
Abyssinia.
Abyssinia. Ethiopian? Abyssinia is the true name of the country. Ethiopia is not.
Right. Country or the full man?
Now, again, the Ethiopia part about it, well, Abyssinia, that was the original place. In fact, the port of the Garden of Eden, as it's now called, originated in that area. But the term Ethiopia was primarily out of Greek. They came out of the north. It's a whole nother term. It meant land of the burnt faces and some old foolish. Dobrodrali, not Negro color, because of how the European had treated that word, Ethiopia. The original origin of it meant something that was divided. For example, like if you was to the demarcation line from something else, okay, then that line was called Ethiopia. It meant something that was divided. However you use that line to divide something, okay, it was called Ethiopia. That was the original meaning of the word. Next question.
A little bit more about what you mean when, or what it is when you mean, when you use the expression old time religion. You use that.
Oh yeah. The question is, what is meant by the term old time religion? Because Noble Ali had that in his questionnaire. And the reason why he placed it there because he wanted our people to not, well, to go back and actually belong to them. All right? A lot of our brothers and sisters, they get off this bandwagon. They want to get out of Christianity. They run back and they want to become Sunni. They want to become like the Arab. They want to learn Arabic and they learn how to read the Quran. And then they say they all this. They still missed the boat. They missed it entirely. Our forefathers are the founders of the world's very first religion that was meant for the redemption and salvation of mankind on the whole caboodle. When it was written before it left out of Africa, there's a diagram that I did that's in my book. Here, back of the pamphlet, on the second back, it's a chart. It's called Islamism. And what this means is that this was the chart of how the first religious creed originated before it left out of Africa. Okay? The Chinese took their portion, before the people of India had their portion, before the Jews had their portion. This is what it looked like. Okay? Y'all with me? Right? For example, with the school of Confucius, right here showed the study of the human body, harmony with all other links. This was the study of Confucius. Okay? Well, that was also Africa. All right? Took that same portion of the teachers and went into India. And they took went to the next and take that that was evolved. I'm skipping back to China. They call it Kung Fu. Where you how to do things that's in harmony with sex and that, in the air and everything. You know. Okay. Then they went to India and they took it to the next level. It's called it the self. Blended with what was known as yoga, with that same in harmony with all other living. All this right here is the steps using medicine and also using arts and everything. The ruler of everything. Then you had the school Well, we say